we have high inflation because we have low unemployment. During the Trump administration, we had record low unemployment, but the average inflation during that 4-year time period was 1.9%.
If many Americans won the lottery tomorrow, the first thing they would do is fill up their gas tank, stopping spending like we were drunken sailors. Actually, we're worse than drunken sailors, because drunken sailors stop spending when they run out of money, and Congress doesn't.
Joe Biden is the president of high prices, and one of the defining failures of the Biden presidency is going to be inflation.
Democrats made a very noticeable pivot yesterday. I don't know if you noticed this, but starting with Senator Schumer's floor remarks, but throughout the day, all of a sudden they're starting to talk about inflation. So evidently they have looked at some polling data and realized the impact that this is having on the American people and what the American people think about their leadership as a result of that.
You know, this time last year, we tried to tell the Biden administration not to pour trillions of dollars into this economy. The basic fundamentals of economics have to work. A high schooler taking an economics class could figure this out, but the White House can't. This is unbelievable inflation of 40 years.
Americans are all painfully aware that we now have a 7.5% inflation rate. That's year over year from January a year ago to January this year, which is the highest rate since 1982. The highest rate of inflation in 40 years. Same thing happening in all other indices about inflation. This one just shows the producer price inflation. That's 9.7%. And you can see the skyrocketing that has taken off. It's very clearly a result of the incredible excessive overspending that is heating up the economy.
So when you get into a conversation about inflation, it gets wonky with a lot of numbers, but I hear several numbers that get thrown out pretty often, and that is, well, we have high inflation because we have low unemployment. So let me just run a couple of numbers past us to be able to keep this in context. During the Trump administration, we had record low unemployment, but the average inflation during that 4-year time period was 1.9%. When President Biden took office January a year ago, if I can take just a year to a year, February a year ago, 1.7% inflation. Now, 7.5% inflation. From 1.7 a year ago to 7.5. Half of America has never experienced inflation like what we're experiencing right now. Half of America has no idea what really inflation looks like until the last couple of months, when they go to the grocery store, they go to fill up their truck with gas, they go to actually pay their home heating oil costs, whatever it may be. They're experiencing now what inflation is and thinking, how come I can't pay my way through a month like I used to be able to pay my way through? And it's because of inflation. Now, for all of us that are old enough to remember the time under Jimmy Carter, we remember what inflation does. We remember what that actually causes across the country, and we remember how difficult it is for everybody in the country. But half of America is now learning what this means. This is an American issue based solely on the policies of this president. Why can I say that? Well, look at inflation around the rest of the world. That'd be the easy way to be able to say it. Look at inflation right now in Japan. Japan's inflation rate right now is 0.6%. 0.6% in Japan. If you go to Germany, Bloomberg has reported that they're looking at for 2022 inflation in Germany 3.7%. Inflation for France is predicted to be 2.8% this year. For Italy, 3.8%. For Spain, 3.6%. For the United States right now, 7.5%. This is solely based on the policies that the Biden administration has put into place that has taken us from 1.7% to 7.5% in 1 year. We have got to open up our manufacturing here, open up our energy production here, stop discouraging American production, and to actually get us back on track and stop sending free money across the economy, which continues to be able to spark inflation like we're experiencing right here.
If many Americans won the lottery tomorrow, the first thing they would do is fill up their gas tank. The Biden administration claims that they are for the little gal or the little guy, but they sure don't seem to like them very much. I can't imagine a more pernicious tax than inflation. This inflation, which has characteristics of both demand pull and cost push inflation, is a direct result of President Biden's economic policies. President Biden has blamed inflation on low unemployment. President Biden has blamed inflation on greedy businesswomen and greedy businessmen. As one commentator put it, I expect President Biden next to say that inflation originated in a bat, but it didn't. It began with the economic policies of the president. What can we as members of Congress do about it? Well, we can't force the members of the Biden administration to retake Econ 101, but we can do our part by stopping spending like we were drunken sailors. Actually, we're worse than drunken sailors, because drunken sailors stop spending when they run out of money, and Congress doesn't.